Hey everybody, how is it going? Welcome back to Nerd Culture, and you're just so honored to be watching Nerdy Gamer right now, and you can probably tell from the title, whatever the hell we decided to make it, but you're watching our review on Cyberpunk 2077, the game of the year, even though it's not our year yet. And I say we because I also have Greg here. Gregory Lee, how are you?
Hello. I'm sad, but we can get into that a bit later.
Yes, Greg is going to be the part of the conversation that's going to be a little bit on the fence about this game. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be the pros, and Greg's going to be the straight cons. I have a couple of issues with this game myself, but we're going to try to cover all topics that we can. It's probably going to be a little bit disorganized, but you know what? It's going to be fun either way. So honestly, we're going to throw ourselves into it, and we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. Cyberpunk 2077. Now, you all know
It's the game we've been waiting for.
it's the game for apparently 5 years or so. I don't know. I have a
I,
horrible
I
track of
think
time.
I think 7 years. It was announced in 2012
See, I don't
and
know.
started
There's no way.
development.
There's no way it was announced in 2012
It was
because
announced in 2012, dude.
I would have hurt, dude. I was in high school. This game
Yeah,
was not announced when I was in high school. There's
it
no
was.
way. There's
First
no
announcement was
way.
2012, bud. Look it up.
See, he's gonna. You'll fact check it, but I do not believe that this game had been in development for that long. But we do know that it has been, from my memory, it's been a good few years that we've been hearing about this game in development. But now the time is finally here. Cyberpunk 2077. Oh God, why? Has finally been released to the public, and of course, we're getting a little bit of a mixed backlash. There's basically a controversy between, the models of the game being released on current gen consoles along with PCs. I personally am taking the side of the PC playing aspect, while Greg is going to be on the console side. That's why our decision making on what our opinions would be of this game are probably going to differ a little bit. But overall, let's talk about the stuff
Yes.
that we both can, dime 2 cents into, which would be overall, I guess, aesthetics and also like story from the little bits we played. Now, full disclosure, me and Greg, I can guarantee, have not finished this game because one point I
No.
love to put towards this is the fact that it is a very, very massive story and a massive world that they create to the point where you can get lost for hours. So anybody that is able to beat it in the short time it's been out, you're a
I feel like
psychopath.
I feel like you didn't really experience it though. If you've like taken in this entire week and have already beat Cyberpunk, I feel like you haven't really explored everything that Cyberpunk has to offer
Yeah.
because it is a huge, expansive world, and like it's not an empty world. Like like from the little bit that I've played, like it is full of life. Like you're like everything feels like filled and like alive.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree with that. I remember when I first, like when I got it, like PC had slightly early access to it, so I was able to like play it the night before, like I think it released at like 7 p.m. Eastern. So I
Mhm.
remember I downloaded it, and by the time it was done, I was able to play about an hour or so of it. But I remember when I opened it up and I started playing, I was just so blown away right off the bat with just the overall aesthetics of how everything looked, because like you have the different backgrounds, of course, you have the character customizations, so you can really kind of like dive into how you want your character to look, what kind of backstory they want to have. They only give you 3 set presets, which is Street Kid, which is what I decided to do. I think it's just called the core or something, where you play as kind of like
Corpo.
Corpo, where you play as the higher class of society. And then, of course, we have Nomad, which is, I believe, Greg, is what you did.
That is what I did. And it was like my first experience of the game was a bit different, I would say. That's just going into the look. We'll get to that later. But my first impressions of the game were this is like a this is a huge game and it is a lot of fun. My first like 3 hours playing the game was like, wow, this is actually a lot of fun. This is like a great game. I really like the story that's being built here. Like there are stakes and emotions that you feel playing through the main story and even some of the side quests. Mhm.
I have heard, through talking with other friends that have started like different background. Surprisingly enough, almost everybody I've talked to, they all decided to go nomad. I'm like the only guy that decided to do street kid, so I'm like the odd man out. But it's supposed to be believed that when you do different stories, you have like basically different experiences.
Yeah.
So no one person's experience should be the same, and I believe that's remotely true. But I also have like kind of a little bit of like test proof that I don't think it's as different as we're led to believe.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was playing it one evening and I was talking to my friend at the same time, and I did this mission, and I had this decision in order to kind of like there was like a life or death situation, and I went one route, and my friend said he went the other. And when I told him what my outcome was, he ended up telling me that basically the same thing happened. It just happened slightly differently. So I feel like in a way, they I think they still have a very linear path that they keep you on to the point where they're almost mirror images, but they just have slightly different nuances to the major turns of the story. Again,
Yeah.
that could change the further you get into the actual gameplay and the overall campaign of it. But I just found that kind of interesting because it made me start to sit there and wonder. I'm like, well, how different could they have made everybody's experiences? Because in a way, it's basically like them saying they made three separate games in one. But I think that's how they're kind of like cutting corners with it, which is something that they could have done. And it's, talking about cutting corners, that's going to be a big thing that's going to be a bother for you, Greg,
Yeah. I
going
mean,
into it.
like let's just get it out of the way at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
So, if you're playing this game on consoles, you've probably seen all the news, you've probably seen all the headlines. This game does not run on last gen consoles. Like CD Projekt Red, they did not make this game for last gen consoles. And which is kind of strange because they didn't know that the next gen consoles were coming out until like the middle of the year.
Yeah.
So clearly they pushed it back and like kind of started optimizing it for the next gen consoles, which are impossible for most people to get their hands on. And like a good majority of people are trying to play this on last gen consoles. Now, I've heard some people say it's fine, like the frame rate issues, like the look of the game, like they're okay with it. They're fine with it. And if you are okay with that, more power to you. But as someone who is playing this on an Xbox One, I feel completely cheated because I couldn't make an informed decision because they never showed any gameplay on last gen consoles. Everything they showed was next gen and on like the highest form of PC. But like here's the thing, like on current gen consoles, which again, a majority of the people who pre-ordered and bought the game are playing on, either not rendered or low rendered textures. Like you get a lot of pop in, which is like once you get up on something or someone, like there'll be like a muddy like old school like finger painting from the 1800s, and then like suddenly they'll like pop into like 420p, like 720p, like render. And at the time of all of my recording, so like I recorded for I think about like 4 or 5 hours of gameplay, and it like I didn't experience any crashes until like I got into Act 2. And like the first mission that I did in Act 2, I was pushed off of the map, and then I was stuck behind like the garage that I was in, and I couldn't get out. Like I jumped off the side of the map, fell through the map, and it still didn't fix anything until I reloaded the game. And then once I got into the mission, the car that I was chasing would get stuck and like freeze, and I couldn't complete the mission. And at that point I was just like, okay, like I physically cannot play this game. I could look past like the pop in the 720p, like I can deal with that. Like
you can live with that as long as you can play the
exactly,
game. Like
because
there's
like the
certain
game was
sacrifices.
fun.
Yeah, there's certain sacrifices as a gamer. It's unfortunate, but you're willing to take. But once it gets to the point where you're like, I can't even move forward
Yeah.
anymore.
like I'm the type of person that like I can look past like bugs and like glitches. Like those are just like fun little things that like okay, like the developers will fix this like in a week or two. Like it's fine. But like once it starts to get to game breaking crashes and like things where you just cannot play the game, like making the game strictly unplayable, like that's when I'm just like that's when I'm out. Like that happens very rarely for me, especially with something that I've personally been excited and like waiting for like I guess like 2 years at this point. Like
Yeah,
once I
it's been a while.
found
It's
out
been a
about
minute.
it, but like it, it's very disappointing because you you have faith in the developers, which CD Projekt Red has, like at the time of this recording, released a apology and said like, okay, there are 2 patches coming out, I think within like the 2 weeks that it's been out, and they're giving who are on last gen consoles a week to return the game if they want to, but they are going to release 2 very big patches in the beginning of next year and February.
Yeah, it's up to you if you want to refund it or not. But I mean, in my personal opinion, given the experiences I've had with this game, I think it's really something not to skip out on. So, and I don't think you should either. So I would honestly vote for the idea of maybe holding off for a little bit and seeing if those patches come out, and if they get them fixed. That way you can actually enjoy the game you've decided to purchase. I mean, even if you get the refund, you can always buy it again later. I mean, your options are kind of unlimited here, but
Yeah.
it's really up to the player at this point what it is that they want to do. But I don't know. At the end of the day, it's just I don't know if I can really judge the game based off of the situation because like I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, me personally, I'm just going to hold on to it just because, like, why get that money back when I'm just going to buy it again, like early next year? Cyberpunk 2077 has already made their money back and more,
Yeah.
just
Which
from
could change based off of people wanting to return it or not. But again,
yeah,
those sales could still come back if they decide to get that patch out. So I mean, it's not looking, I don't think, a little too horrible for CD Projekt Red, especially if people have the have read up on the current issues and have the sort of like I guess acknowledgement that like I'm trying to throw out here. So like I don't know if this necessarily puts CD Projekt Red in a bad spot, but it is very unfortunate, and it's going to be interesting to see what next steps that they decide to take and where exactly they're going to go. I still think that's Cyberpunk 2077 as after these next few months get squared away and they have everything hopefully squared away with these patches that it could be, one of those, up and coming titles that, it could take the rank for some of them, honestly. It does
yes,
everything well when it works.
and that's kind of the consensus of this game. Like, if when it works, it is a great game, but when it doesn't, like you can tell, and you almost feel like you almost feel like you were taken advantage of at a certain point.
Yeah, I would. I can see that. Here's my thing though. Overall, we say that this is a fantastic game, and I think we leave it up to the option that you can choose depending on what your setup is if you want to get this or not.
Yes.
But I can't help but push towards a certain thought I've been having where, yes, this game looks great. Yes, this game is interesting. But is it really, overall, is a close to 100% of it really as different than anything we've ever seen before? Because personally, at least with gameplay wise, and I guess how everything's kind of laid out and how you go about doing things, I can't help but feel that it not only shares similarities with past titles that have been released, but I feel like they're borderline actually pretty close to the point where I'm really starting to question if this game is independently really its own thing. Not saying it's a complete knockoff. I'm not trying to generalize it towards that,
Yeah.
but I sometimes sit here and I play this game and I go, this is just a really futuristic Far Cry.
Yeah, I mean, like it definitely wears its influences on its sleeve. Like you can definitely tell the different the different games that it's taken from. But like it, it's it's not the game to end all games. Like it didn't reinvent the wheel. Like it's just a
Exactly.
very well polished game for some.
Yeah.
And
Then
and like
that's the thing. That's the thing. I'm glad you actually said that though. I agree 100% with that. This game is great, but like Greg said, it did not invent the wheel. So, and that's really hard for some people to probably want to hear because given that this game has kind of like been on the back burner for a while and been trying to keep the motivation up for it, it kind of makes you almost believe that when you get it, it's going to be a mind-boggling new experience. And I'm going to be the voice of reason here and say it's going to be definitely an experience, and you're probably going to enjoy it. You might not, but it's not going to be something that's going to be 100% new.
yeah,
Hands down, going to tell you that right now. If you're a person that has played any of the titles I've discussed in the past, mainly being Far Cry, because that's like almost like the best thing I can describe it as, then you're not going to see a lot of differences in comparison into that. There are a good bit, but you know, you can definitely play it and see similarities. So don't expect that you're going to have a godly new experience with it because you're just not. And I don't think that's ever what they were trying to really go for. I think they were just trying to make something that was kind of building off the quote building blocks of past games, but just putting their own style on it, which is fine. I just think that, you know, you might be a gamer that's interested in getting this game, but you might be going in with the wrong expectations, or maybe you might be setting too high of an expectation of it being so solely a completely different thing that when you find those similarities, you might feel and want to lean towards the fact that it's trash. So just a full disclaimer that those similarities are there.
yeah.
This is not.
This
This is
isn't a brand new type of game.
yeah, which is it's just hard because they waited a lot of years. So I think a lot of people have built up a mentality that this is going to be something we've never seen before. And I get so sick and tired when developers go to release a game and they say this is something you've never seen before. Almost 100% of the time when they say that, it's like I've seen this 25,000 times before and this is worse. How dare you?
Yeah, I mean, like, no, nothing is brand new anymore.
Nothing.
But with that, final verdicts. Again, this is a very fun game, and when it works, it works. But can this game be recommended to everyone at this point? I would say no.
No.
If you're lucky enough to have gotten an Xbox Series X or a PS5, like, go out and buy this game right now. But if you're playing on last gen, maybe wait till you get that new console or that new PC, or wait until you see the new updates that are coming early next year. And just, I mean, this was a game that we've been waiting for a very long time, and maybe we should have waited a little bit more.
Potentially, but honestly, I think we've made a good turnaround because I think if they would have pushed it back any further, it would have just taken them longer, and I think they would have still ran into the issues. I think we've just made the point now where they made the jump, they executed. Now it's just polishing things up that they know. They got everything, they got everybody else off their plate. Now it's to fix the problems. So in a way, I think this is a good thing. It's just very unfortunate, I guess, the timing of it. But again, and we'll reiterate this one more time. If you are a gamer who's been eyeballing Cyberpunk 2077 and you have your opinions on it, it's going to be interesting. I can probably guarantee you that it's going to be a fun ride. Whether it's your type of game or not, you can adapt it to how you want to play. But whatever your setup is, whatever your current situation is, it might not be the right game for you at the moment. So
Yeah.
it's a matter of if you want to wait and if you're willing to hold out for those patches and those promises that you were given. But overall, Cyberpunk 2077, I have to vouch for it. I think it is a wonderful game, and I think it's still, even with its flaws, to this time of recording, it still has. I still have hope for it, and I still have some promise held out for it.
Let us know in the comments if you've played this game, if you're considering getting the refund, or what you're trying to play the game on. Let us know in the comments below.
Let us know down in the comments if you've had any personal glitches yourself, personally, for any PC players out there. I'm just curious about if my
Yeah.
experience is one of the better ones, or if there are more issues than we think that are on, those different platforms. So I'm curious to hear what you guys are going to think and what discussions you're going to start down below. But As always, I feel like Greg was going to say it, but I'll just hop in anyway. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe to this video because we always put content out like this every single day. So, yeah, just make sure you just show us the love because we care about you guys so much.
Yeah, like we waste our money so you don't have to for games like this.
Exactly.
Let us know what game you want us to review next.
Thanks for tuning into Nerd Culture, guys. I'm one of your hosts, Travis Troller.
I'm your other host, Gregory Lee.
The Dynamic Duo says goodbye.
Bye-bye.